Good morning. I'd like to call this meeting to order. The time is 9 o'clock. This is Thursday, June 26, 2025. This is the second day of a two-day meeting of the Physical Therapy Board of California. Today, we're meeting in the hearing room at the Department of Consumer Affairs building located at 2005 Evergreen Street Hearing Room in Sacramento, California. We are also meeting virtually via a WebEx component provided by the California Department of Consumer Affairs. This is an official business meeting of the Physical Therapy Board. The board's role remains to maintain consumer protection and consult with local and state entities on the laws and regulations pertaining to the physical therapy industry. We will take public comment on specific agenda items, and at the end of the meeting, there will be a comment section for items not on the agenda. If you make a comment during a specific item agenda that is not related to the topic, we will be requesting that you hold your comments until we reach the appropriate agenda item. All comments that do not relate directly to an item on the agenda should be held until the agenda item for items not on the agenda. The board follows the Open Meeting Act, so while we accept and appreciate public comments, we cannot respond to those comments. Individuals listening to the meeting will have an opportunity to provide public comment and will be assisted by a moderator who will be facilitating the teleconferencing process. For those members of the public participating via teleconference on WebEx, please wait until the moderator has introduced you before you make your comments. To request a comment during the public comment period, the moderator will direct you with instructions at that time. This meeting is being recorded and the minutes of the meeting will be prepared. Can we please have a roll call?
Karen Brandon.
Here.
Samuel Pugh.
Here.
Here. Paula Kalof.
Here.
Tanya McMillian. Tanya McMillian is absent. All members are present with the exception of Tanya McMillian, and the board has a quorum.
Thank you. I would like to ask our new board member, Dr. Kalof, to please read the board's mission statement.
Thank you. To advance and protect the interests of the people of California by the effective administration of the Physical Therapy Practice Act.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kalof. Before I head straight into the second part of the agenda, I wanted to, as president, thank everyone for their participation, for their preparation, and for their presence here today, board members, staff, and stakeholders, and especially any members of the public. We are on agenda item number 17, and we will be reviewing our progress with our 2024-2025 strategic planning, update.
Good morning.
Morning.
Sarah Courtney. I'm the Assistant Executive Officer. I will be providing the update on the strategic plan. But first, I'd like to have the opportunity to introduce Vincent Azar. He was not able to introduce himself as part of the Executive Services Unit staff introductions yesterday. So I would like him to have the opportunity today. So, go ahead.
Hello. Good morning. My name is Vincent Azar, and I serve as the Board Technology Liaison for the Physical Therapy Board. I lead our efforts in IT modernization, enterprise reporting, process automation, and ADA compliance for public-facing digital documents. I was a single point of contact for the implementation of Breeze licensing system. And I've since built numerous SharePoint, PowerPoint Power Automate solutions to streamline operations, improve compliance tracking, and support licensing and enforcement workflows. I also provide technical support across the board, helping to ensure that our systems are efficient, reliable, and aligned with regulatory needs.
Thank you. All right, so I'll go ahead and get started with the update on the strategic plan. I will give a little bit of background and then get into the updates. And if it's okay, we'll do questions at the end. Is that okay? All right. So to get started with the background, facilitated by DCA Solid team, Sarah Irani and Ann Fisher, the board developed the 2024-29 strategic plan in December of 2023, and then adopted it in June 2024. In October 2024, Sarah and Ann also facilitated action plan development with PTPC staff. And today I'll present the first year. Oh. Let me know when to continue. Go ahead. Okay. In October 2024, Sarah and Ann facilitated action plan development with PTPC staff, and today I will present the first year progress of completing the action plan tasks and achieving the 2024-29 strategic plan goals and objectives. A big thank you to Sarah and Ann from DCA Solid for their support through the strategic planning process. You all received a report handout today that I will be referencing in this update, which has also been made available to the public attending in person, and will be posted online with the other materials following the meeting. In keeping with the board's ongoing organizational effectiveness goal, specifically objectives 4.2 and 4.3 pertaining to communication and technology use, staff is leveraging existing project management resources in carrying out the strategic plan. These tools facilitate efficient and effective team engagement, visibility and awareness, regular progress monitoring, and reporting. The scorecard and status displays you see in the report are templates shared by the DCA Solid team, one of those tools we are using. So again, thank you to DCA Solid. So I'll go into the handout, the report. The first page of the report is the goal scorecard showing the progress toward completing each goal. On the next 2 pages, 2 and 3, the objective scorecards illustrate the progress toward completing each objective for each of the goals. The final couple pages, 4 and 5, display a matrix that includes the goals, corresponding objectives, measures of success, due dates, and current status or the progress. The current status on the matrix matches the objectives scorecards. For both goals and objectives, completion of tasks determines measured progress. For example, using objective progress, if an objective has 4 tasks and 1 task is complete, the objective is 25% complete. For the audience, I will share the goal completion progress displayed in the report. For goal 1, enforcement, the completion is at 8%. For goal 2, licensing, 13%. Goal 3, outreach and communication, 6%. Goal 4, organizational effectiveness, 6%. And goal 5, continuing competency, does not have any progress identified. So far, staff have completed 6 tasks and this doesn't mean that no progress has been made, but instead no tasks have been completed. The strategic plan action plan sets forth 80 tasks. So far, staff have completed 6 tasks in all goal areas, with the exception of continuing competency as reflected in the progress I just shared with you. Some of the completed tasks include expert consultant trainings and providing feedback and further development of these trainings, reviewing the licensing webpage for currency and accuracy, implementing the CalJam, military outreach, and staff development opportunities. Carrying out a strategic plan isn't always a linear process. Resources may be simultaneously allocated to various tasks across the different objectives based on status. For example, staff may have opportunity to work on one task while another task is on hold or not actionable by staff. So I would like to share that in addition to the completed tasks, staff initiated 27 tasks that are currently in progress. Therefore, staff have worked on 33 tasks this year, including complete and incomplete, which is 41% progress towards achieving the goals of the plan. In breaking down those pending tasks, enforcement is 21% that are pending. Licensing is 13%. Goal 3, outreach and communication, is 47%. Goal 4, organizational effectiveness, has 50% being worked on. And then goal 5, continuing competency, while it had 0 completed progress, 38% is pending. And these tasks include implementing stakeholder educational component at the board meetings, the exam occupational analyses, development of outreach materials, outreach events that are consumer focused, reviewing the website, office guidelines, updating those, automating continuing competency processes, and the continuing competency workload studies. And lastly, completing some tasks does not mean that staff stops doing them. For example, outreach and website updates will continue even if that particular task is identified as being complete. It may be that we wanted to initiate that project and then that we will continue doing those activities moving forward as well. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions that you all have.
Good morning. Thank you, Sarah. I have a question. How many of these, I'm looking at the specific metrics, the success measure, only 2 of them require, because it's very challenging when you have one of the items be report to the board. So you have to pretty much be done with everything to be able to do the report to the board, I presume, right?
Mhm.
And there's, I think, 2 of those. One under licensing, which I guess was completed partially. And then there's another one, report to the
Yes.
board, right?
Yeah,
And then
so
the
under
other one-
license, yeah, there's two objectives that are 20% complete.
And then also the report to the board in the strategic goal 4, organizational effectiveness, right?
Mhm.
So it just seems like it would be like when everything is completed, then you could report to the board. Is that correct?
That's up to the board. So if you would like to not have things come before you until it's completed and we can talk about it that time.
No, no,
or-
no, that's totally appropriate. I'm
Okay.
identifying
Oh.
that that's its own metric is report to the board. And so it seems like everything else would have to be, some of it might have to be completed before you could do the last one. Is that
You'd be
correct?
providing like the full update.
The full update
So yes, we would
to
have-
check it off.
to be 100 to check it off would have to be 100%
Yeah,
complete.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, it skews it a little bit because if the final one, if nothing's done ahead of it, then it's kind of hard to finish that final one. I think I understand why it's a little bit behind because
Okay.
that would be a limitation. It's not a problem. I think that the report is important and it's necessary, but it makes sense that some of it might not be completed. I had another question about the metric on goal 5. Promulgate 5.1 regulations to establish fees for recognized approval agencies. Where are we at with that? Because we were going to create a fee table or,
Yeah, so that's, and Brooke mentioned that with the rulemaking update that we are currently doing the workload study to determine what resources we have going towards those tasks. And then what that is all part of the bigger study to determine the fee. So
Okay.
we're doing the data collection right now.
okay. Does anyone have any questions on the board? Any comments from the board? Thank you so much. This is a lot of work. I really appreciate the detail put into outlining exactly what the metrics were so we could see where things are and the recognition of there's a list behind even every single point on here,
Mhm.
including tasks. So we really appreciate your team working. We're halfway because it's June, right? No, it's a 3-week. Yeah, it's a 2-year. 5-year. Oh goodness, we're doing good. I'm like, sometimes I'm mixed up in terms of like how many years we have our strategic plan, but yes, no, we're doing really well. Thank you so much. Any public comment? Okay. Any public comment online?
WebEx is now open for public comment on the strategic plan. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. For our mobile device users, you may need to hit the ellipses button, that's the ... and cycle up in order to find your hand. And for our dial-in users, you need to dial *3 in order to raise your hand. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Sarah. We're going to move on to agenda item number 18, administrative services update. Liz. Oh, and team.
Liz won't be joining us today, but in her stead, her lead analyst Anastasia Stokes will be doing the presentation, and you'll be having introductions
Thank-
from the rest of the admin staff.
Thank you so much.
Can you guys hear me okay? Good morning, board members.
Morning.
My name is Anastasia Stokes. I currently serve as an AGPA lead budget and contracts analyst within the Administrative Services Unit. I am new to the state service, having joined both the PTBC and the state just 4.5 months ago. And I'll let Jessica introduce herself.
Good morning, board members. Can you hear me fine? Sorry. Sorry.
You'll have to share.
Hello and good morning, board members. My name is Jessica Barlow. I have been with the state of California and PTBC for 14 months. I currently serve as an office technician where I provide essential administrative and clerical support to my department and across PTBC. In this role, I manage a variety of office duties, including processing mail, handling purchase orders, travel expenses, maintaining records, and assisting with departmental operations. My position plays a key role in ensuring smooth day-to-day workflow to support the overall mission of the organization to serve the public efficiently and professionally.
Thank you, Jessica.
You're welcome.
Good morning, board members. My name is Julie Tao, and I serve as the board's personnel, travel, and training liaison in the Administrative Services Unit. I've worked for the state of California for about 10 years, including the past 5 years with in my primary role. I assist PTBC employees and management by preparing and following up with classification and recruitment, personnel transactions, health and safety with requests, concerns, and questions. I consult with and assist staff and management to enroll in training classes and complete the necessary documents and forms. Lastly, I provide recommendations to employees and management regarding travel policies and procedures, review travel claims and supporting documents for completeness and accuracy, advise employees on travel policies and procedures, and make travel arrangement for employees and management.
Thank you, Julie.
You're welcome.
My name is Tim Davis, and I work for the board in the area of cashiering and some procurement. I process all incoming payments, handle refunds and adjustments, and generate revenue reports using Breeze. I also assist staff and licensees with payment-related updates and questions. In addition, I also assist with some facilities functions and some of the emergency contact stuff. So I have a few hats.
Thank you, Tim.
That's pretty much it.
Does anyone have any questions or comments for? No, we thank you guys for your hard work. We know you guys are like the backbone in administrative, and we really appreciate it. And Liz will be proud. Thank you.
I'm good on.
Hold on. I do need to ask if there's any public comment regarding our administrative services.
Well, I was,
No, you're
There's-
gonna keep
there's-
going. I'm so
there's
sorry. I'm
still
sorry.
more.
Sorry. Go
no,
ahead.
there's still more. I just was
Introduction.
wanted to introduce the team first.
Thank you.
Are we on?
We're on B.
On
yes.
B, okay. I'll be providing updates for the Administrative Services Unit on behalf of Liz Constancia today. A little update on purchasing, travel, and training. Purchasing, we continue to make purchases necessary to support our operational needs. While we experienced a brief delay due to budget constraints largely stemming from increased enforcement costs, we successfully reallocated funds within our operating and equipment budgets to address these challenges. Travel remains status quo and has been prioritized for mission critical needs only. All other travel requests are being reviewed by leadership and will be addressed on case by case basis. Training also remains status quo and is currently limited to job required courses. We're utilizing the Department of Consumer Affairs SALEAD unit to meet our training needs with associated costs covered through pro rata. For any mandatory training not available through SALEAD, we're actively working with units to identify practical and cost-effective alternatives. Finally, we're pleased to report that all PTBC employees are up to date and fully compliant with their mandatory training and reporting requirements. Little update on the personnel. The PTBC is authorized for 29.1 positions during the third quarter. There were 3 vacancies, 1 SSA and 2 AGPAs. We successfully filled 1 AGPA position during that period. PTBC's personnel liaison, Julie Tao, is actively working with management to fulfill all remaining vacancies as quickly and efficiently as possible. Some of these positions have already been filled during the fourth quarter. Before we move on to 18C, did you guys have any questions for?
Could you share what the vacancies, what units? what positions?
Currently we have, and I don't know if that's up yet for, we have an SSA limited term position for administrative services unit. That's the only one that I'm aware of.
Okay. Are there any questions on this item from the board? Comments? All right, we can go on to C.
Okay. For the current fiscal year, PTBC is authorized a total budget of $7,086,000 to support program requirements, including personnel services, operating expenses, and equipment. In the third quarter, PTBC spent $1,480,596. Year-to-date expenditures total $5,466,476, which represents approximately 77% of our budget allocation. In Q3, PTBC collected $1,839,358 in revenue, and year-to-date revenue collection totals $6,222,812. As of March 31st, PTBC's revenue collections are sufficient to support current operational costs, with expenditures well within the approved budget. And that is all I have. If you guys have any questions?
Are there any questions on item C?
This is a comment instead of a question. I understand that we have some issues in realigning some of the other department costs. That is this budget reflective of that adjustment already, or?
The augmentation.
Are you talking about the augmentation that we
Yeah.
discussed? That data won't show up until the Q4 display.
Okay,
That's not inclusive. Mhm.
got it. Thank you.
Although, Sam, to your comment, the one thing that you can see in Q3 is the kind of the anticipated over expenditure of those line items for the AG and for the Office of Administrative Hearings. We kind of talked about it a little bit yesterday. We're ahead of the normal, 75% of expenditure at that point, especially when we take into account the division investigation.
Thank you.
I had a question. The equipment item seems like it has an overage. Is that, it's something that had come up in the past. Was that, or can you explain?
Really quickly, in the last year's budget, we had scheduled to do an IT overhaul in replace of computer desktops and laptops. There was a delay, if you will, in the approval of it during that fiscal year, and it was denied. And so it rolled into the next fiscal year, and the order actually went through at that point. And so some of that was kind of almost supply line issues where they weren't ready. And when they were ready, they landed in a fiscal year where it wasn't part of the schedule. So where we didn't spend that money last year and we under expended that line item, you see the overage in this fiscal year.
Okay, so it was, I remember that comment from previously, but now I know why it's in this fiscal year.
Right.
Okay, got it.
And you'll see it. That particular item scheduled was a light expected budget for major equipment, but because we purchased those laptops technically in this fiscal year, you'll see it red until next fiscal year.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board? Discussion? Not hearing any public comment on this agenda item? Okay, any public comment online?
We are open for public comment via WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, thank you. Actually, I did want to make another comment. Did I see that we're a little bit ahead of our last year for revenue, like by almost 4%
Yes.
until 4 closes, correct?
And I think even more importantly is to, always kind of compare the expenditure versus the revenue, just to get that overall sense of if we're living within our means.
Mhm.
And we're certainly collecting more revenue than we spend in each quarter.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion from what I just mentioned? Public comment? No. Public comment online? No. Okay. Thank you so much, Anastasia. Okay, we're moving on to licensing. Number 19 on the agenda, licensing services update. Valerie and team. Wow.
Good morning, board members.
Good morning.
My name is Valerie Kearney. I'm manager of the Licensing Services Unit. I have been with PTBC since 2015. I started out processing PT and PTA applications. I then moved into the applications lead position, and I did that for a year. And then in 2022, I became manager of the unit. Licensing services encompasses 3 units: applications, continuing competency, and license maintenance. And now I'd like to turn it over to Paul Rowe to introduce himself.
Good morning, board members. I'm Paul Rowe. I am the application and licensing lead. I have been with in state service for 8.5 years. I've been with this board for PTBC for 4 years. I am the first point of contact for the applications and licensing team by being the resource in answering more complex application questions. I perform outreach and presentations to the two PT and PTA programs with April Beauchamp, and am the single point of contact for those program directors with application questions. I'm the military liaison for the board, processing military members and their spouses' applications, which includes processing military spouses who submit registrations for the Federal Service Members Civil Relief Act, SCRA, through the DCA portal. I also answer laws and regulations questions through the laws and regs email box to stakeholders, which includes consumers, licensees, and applicants.
Thank you. And now I'd like for Teresa Gutierrez to introduce herself.
Good morning, board members. My name is Teresa Gutierrez, and I am an application analyst at the application unit. I've been with the state and with the board for about 15 years, and I'm currently processing all foreign educated PT, PTA applications, and been doing that for about 7 years now. So yeah, from start to end, all foreign PTs, PTAs, I am their point of contact for all applicants, and also for all of our evaluation agencies for foreign educated applicants as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. And Brianda Ferguson.
Good morning. I'm Brianda Ferguson. I've sorry, I'm nervous.
No worries. Time.
I am an application analyst. I process the PT new grads, all PT new grads. I've been with the state for 6.5 years, with the board for 1 year and about 2 months.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now I'd like to bring up Andrew Caton and Justin Silva, also with applications. Andrew?
Good morning. My name is Andrew. I am an endorsement analyst for the board. I've been here for about 10 months. So I transfer out of state, people moving into state, their PT licenses, PT and PTA.
Good morning. My name is Justin Silva. I've been a state employee for 35 years. I initially was hired here coming from, which is also in this building, as an office technician in licensing. From there, I've been promoted to applications to handle all the physical therapist assistant applications, and I guess that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now we're going to move on to continuing competency. Brett Argento and Alyasha Lam. Go ahead, Brett.
Okay. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My name is Brett Argento. I'm an AGPA in continuing competency. I have been with the board and the state for almost 2 months. A lot new. Primarily right now, excuse me, I'm nervous too. This is scary. I'm working on updating our registry of approval agencies and approved providers. I have smaller day-to-day tasks as well, but that's the bulk of my work.
It's a lot of work.
Yep.
Thank you. Yasha.
Good morning, board members.
Morning.
My name is Yasha Lam. Everyone calls me Yasha, sorry, not Yasha, but Yasha Lam, and I'm currently a staff service analyst in the continuing competency unit. I've been with the state for over 16 years, beginning as a PI at both the Franchise Tax Board and EDD. And now I'm permanent part-time employee here at the board. I've spent about 80% of my state services here at the board. In my current role, I support continuing education compliance by auditing course records for PTs and PTAs. I process exemption requests and contribute to process improvements. I also support cross-unit functions, including enforcement, and serve as a liaison to help between those departments to help ensure consistency and communication. Throughout my time here, I value being part of a team that supports the public and licensees while helping maintain professional standards across the board.
Great.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you for your introductions. I just want to clarify, maybe it's a lack of knowledge on my end. What is the difference between continuing competency and continuing education?
Well,
are they the same or?
Well, continuing education, our licensees have to maintain a certain amount of education to maintain their license, and the competencies, us making sure that they are compliant in those roles.
Perfect, thank you.
And absent today, also with CC, with continuing competency, is Veronica Gutierrez. She primarily does physical therapist licensee audits. Thank you.
Thank you.
And now we're going to bring up our license maintenance technician, Brenda Martinez.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I'm Brenda Martinez. I am the licensing technician for the board. I've been here for 1 year and 2 months with the state and with the board. I process renewals for licensees, and I do any changes that they need, like name changes, address changes. And then I do the verifications that we send out to out-of-state licensees, and many different little things here and there, but pretty much that's what I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda.
And also absent today is our intake coordinator, Monet Dyson. Monet does the initial prep of the PT and PTA applications, and then assigns them to the applications analyst for review.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Big team.
Yeah, it's quite a flash mob. Okay, Paul, you want to go ahead and present?
Sure. Application services initial license application received increased by 8% from fiscal year 2023 to 2024, quarter one through quarter three, to fiscal year 2024, 2025, quarter one through quarter three, with the physical therapist initial applicants received up 5%. And the physical therapist assistant PTA's applications up 17% overall from quarter one to quarter three. That the previous fiscal year, U.S. educated PT applications received increased 7%, while U.S. educated PTA applications received increased 21%. Quarter one through quarter three over the same period from fiscal year 2023 to 2024. The first three quarters of fiscal year 2024-2025 saw a decrease in foreign educated applications received by 19% and an increase of 10% in endorsement applications received. Military applications received continued to tick up with a 50% increase over fiscal year 2023-2024, quarter one through quarter three. Of the 2009 initial applications received year to date, 93% were U.S. educated with 66% exam applicants and 34% were endorsement. Foreign educated and military applications were 7% and 3% respectively. Initial license application processing times, application receipt to license issuance issued or application closed for U.S. educated averaged 29 days, while foreign educated applications process times averaged 48 days. Military applications averaged 8 days. This data is for the applications completed during this time frame. The targeted turnaround time to license issuance for U.S. graduates complete applications is 45 days for applications by endorsement and 90 days for new graduate applications. License maintenance received and completed 55 retired status requests through quarter three for fiscal year 2024-2025 with an average processing time of less than 1 day. The 30 retired status requests for quarter one, two, and three received is down 26% from the 74 retired status requests received in quarters one through three of fiscal year 2023-2024. Continuing competency audited 212 physical therapists, licensees over quarter one to quarter three of fiscal year 2024-2025 with a pass rate of 94%. Physical therapist assistant licensees audits resulted in an 81 pass rate for 68 PTAs for fiscal year 2024-2025, quarter one through three. Addressing backlog due to vacancies during this time in fiscal year 2023-2024 resulted in no quarter three statistics for completion. We have also had to terminate AHP Healthcare as a PTBC approval agency. Are there any questions? A lot of numbers.
Hi, Gail Armstrong, PT board member. I just was wondering if you could review the decrease in the foreign trained applications, 19%. And do you have any reason?
I'm sorry, could you say that again, please?
The decrease in the foreign trained
The decrease in foreign trained.
was 19%?
Would include a reason why.
There isn't. It's just the ebb and flow of applications of people who want to come to the state.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very cyclic. I mean,
See that this time last year.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
The percentage.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, can you repeat what the number of applicants so far for the year, from new grads? Do you have US educated?
Let's see.
Year to date, is it the
The first report,
1237? No, that was
Mm.
last year.
no, that was,
We're at 1324.
that was continuing competency, the 12, the first quarter of fiscal year 2024 saw a decrease, yeah.
I think so, yeah, okay.
Yep.
Okay, because I think it's about 12,000 to 14,000 graduate in the US from DPT programs. I'm just trying to figure out how many are here and coming here. Yeah. Good to know. Well, thank you very much. Any other questions for
Well-
the board? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, we do have a request for withdrawal from recognition of an approval agency to do.
Oh, okay.
Material. Staff identifies one agency that they're recommending as their definition withdrawal, but that requires
A board. Okay.
I move to remove AHP Healthcare from continuing competency recognition.
I second it. Any discussion? Okay, any public comment? No public comment in the room. Any public comment online?
We are open for public comment via WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue?
Yes, thank you. I'll go ahead and take a vote.
Karen Brandon,
Yes.
Samuel Q,
Aye.
Bill Armstrong,
Yes.
Tala Kayla,
Yes.
Tanya McMillian. Tanya McMillian is absent. 4-0, motion carried.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
We're going to move on to item number 20 on the agenda, but I do want to once again thank our really hardworking staff, all of you units. Don't be nervous. You know so much more about the detail of our everyday, and we appreciate the detail that you know. So thank you.
I'm just going to sit down for a moment and let you know. I'm going to let my staff introduce themselves first.
Sure.
They'll fill these chairs and then I'll come back up.
Welcome.
Going first.
Excuse me. I've been nominated to go first, so good morning, board members.
Good morning.
My name is Monty Martin. I'm the probation monitor here with the board / AGPA. I've been with the board and the state officially since 1998, in this current position since 2005, part of the Consumer Protection Services Unit, and I monitor the folks that you guys put on probation and make sure that they're following the terms and conditions of their probation and following the pattern that you guys want them to follow, the schedule for probation monitoring and being compliant and educating themselves. So by the time they're done with probation, hopefully we don't have to worry about them coming back again. So that's me.
Thank you.
Hey, good morning, board members.
Good morning.
My name is David Laxton. I'm an AGPA with the Consumer Protection Services Program. I started state service in 2005, proctoring licensing exams every now and then. I came to the board in 2006, so 19 years, looks like. I As I said, I'm an AGPA in the program, so I handle some of the more complex investigation cases that we receive. It can be anything from unlicensed practice up to documentation, sexual misconduct issues, things like that. So yeah, that's what I do for the unit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, board members. My name is Angel Otley. I am also an AGPA with the Consumer Protection Services Unit. I've been with the state for almost 12 years now and been with the board for 9. I currently monitor, review, investigate, analyze more complex complaints received by unlicensed or licensed physical therapy practice act, determining the outcome of an investigation, taking that with my executive officer or manager for the outcome of the discipline and what action we're going to take. And that's about it.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jim Heaton. I'm a staff services analyst. I do kind of what they do, but I don't handle the real complicated cases yet. I've been with the state for 6 months, give or take a day or two. I'm the gray-haired baby of the team. So it's great working here. I enjoy the job, and on my off time, I'm a woodworker. So I teach woodworking classes, and I also bring in some little kids projects for some of the staff members to take home to their kids to make some woodworking stuff. So trying to teach little kids to do woodworking.
Thank you.
Busy.
But we have a great leadership team too. So
Really do. Thank
yeah,
you.
we do.
Thank you so much. All right.
That's it.
Yeah, I gotta stay.
My name is Carol Phelps. I'm the manager of the enforcement unit. I will like to introduce 3 other staff who aren't currently available to come before you today. One is Beatrice Reynoso. She wrote out her little, I'll just read hers for you because it's really good. She's been enforcement analyst with the board in the Consumer Protection Services program, has been there for about 17 years, almost 18 in September. She processes and investigates and reviews complaints received by the board. The majority of her caseload are consumer complaints received by the public. However, she also works medical malpractice payment reports, adverse action cases, which is cases in which a licensee received discipline in another state in which they're licensed. Additionally, she reports the board's disciplinary actions to the FSBPT and the National Practitioner Data Bank as required, and also sends out the board's monthly discipline emails to that public listserv. Francisco Salas is also a member of our team. He's a staff services analyst and he does our intake. So all complaints received go through him to get them processed and set up in Breeze. He also handles investigations of mainly criminal history hits where if a licensee received arrest or conviction, he would handle some of those investigations of those cases. He's been with the board for a little over 1.5 years. And so those are his duties. And then also Marnie Kincaid has been with the board since 2017. She is an AGPA analyst and similarly to what Francisco does. However, she handles cases that go to discipline as well. So if a licensee has, or an applicant has criminal history that's egregious enough to take disciplinary action, she handles those cases, whether it's a license denial, an issuance of an initial probationary license, or some kind of action against a licensee to restrict licensure. She handles all of those cases as far as criminal history related complaints. For myself, I have been with the board and the state since 2009. I started with the PTBC in the enforcement unit as a, what's it called? Office technician, an OT. And I moved up steadily through and probably in about 2021 or 2022, I became the lead of the enforcement program. And then in 2023, I was appointed as the manager of the enforcement unit. So I just oversee, help staff where they need, do reporting all of the behind the scenes stuff that needs to happen so staff can do their job. I will present the program updates and statistics now. In Q3, the CPS unit migrated its document storage structure over to SharePoint. To prepare for this move, CPS staff met several times to clean up and organize the CPS unit file structure, which had gotten quite large and complex over the years. The goal of the cleanup process was to reduce the complexity of the file structure, archive any unused documents, and update file and document organization so staff could easily and quickly find the file they need. The CPS unit also continues to work with our IT analyst, Vincent Azar, on additional SharePoint workflows to make timely information readily available and automate or streamline internal procedures. We currently have automated reports to assist with tracking cases that are out for board vote, compliance payments received, applicant cases pending, and disciplinary actions for reporting purposes. In addition to these automated reports, we also have new workflows that allow staff to easily provide documents to the executive officer for review and approval, to request task orders for expert review of case materials, and request to initiate internal complaints. Internal complaints are cases that are initiated by PTBC staff based on either criminal history reports, license discipline reports received from other boards or other states, continuing competency violations that rise to the level of action, and cases opened as companions to other existing complaints, information that we receive in the course of an investigation that makes us need to open on another individual to investigate them as well. The CPS unit and PTBC management continue to hold quarterly meetings with our contacts at the Division of Investigation and the Attorney General's office to discuss outstanding issues and collaborate to ensure the effective case and program management. DFI is planning to conduct their 2025 investigator training on board-specific investigations in August, and the PTBC's next expert consultant training is scheduled to be held on September 22nd in Loma Linda in conjunction with our September board meeting. And we continue to work with both DFI and our liaison at the AG's office in planning for these trainings. Our DAG liaison, John Gatchett, will be the one conducting the expert consultant training in September. Currently at our analyst desks, there are 450 complaint cases being investigated by 6 analysts. These cases are at all stages of the investigation process, from complaint intake and desk investigations, DFI investigations, expert review. They've been referred to the Attorney General's office, and some are in compliance monitoring for administrative citation fines and public approvals and reprimands. For statistics, I'll just go over briefly. Performance Measure 1 shows that PTBC received and opened a total of 125 cases in Q3, including 96 consumer complaints and 29 reports of arrest or conviction. This is slightly fewer than received last quarter, but overall 6% more complaints have been received this year compared to last fiscal year as of the end of Q3. Performance Measure 2 is the intake timeframe, the average number of days it takes from receipt of complaint for us to initiate it and assign it to an analyst. Our average is 3 days, which a target of 9 days was set, and so we're consistently meeting this target. Performance Measure 3 shows the average case age in days for all completed cases that did not result in the referral to the Attorney General's office for formal discipline. So all cases that were either closed with no action, closed, maybe an education letter was sent to the licensee, or maybe a citation was issued. Or I guess in-house public letter reprimand would apply in that case as well, because those don't go to the Attorney General's office. The average case age for this quarter was 204 days, which is 14% higher compared to this time last fiscal year. But if you've been to one board meeting before, I know Tal, this may be new for you, but if you've been to one board meeting before, I always say that number fluctuates greatly. A number of cases, one case that aged excessively would throw off your average. And so it's an average and it goes up and down. Our performance measure goal target is 180 days. And if you look at the statistics report that's included in your board meeting materials, I would say a majority of our cases do close within that time frame, but sometimes there's a handful of cases that age greater and just throw off that average. Performance Measure 4 captures the average case age and dates for cases that were referred to the Attorney General's office for formal discipline. 6 cases were finalized at the AG's office this quarter, taking an average of 639 days from receipt of complaint to final outcome. The target for this performance measure is 540 days, but just like with the other one, it's an average, and when you have only 6 cases, an average is, it can be one case again can throw it off. I think 3 out of the 6 cases were done within that 540-day range. And then there was 1 case that aged excessively, kind of throwing that off. So in general, we're getting close to meeting that 540 overall, but on average, it's getting a little bit higher than that. In summary, this fiscal year so far, staff initiated 417 new cases, issued 20 citations, completed 337 desk investigations, referred 41 cases to the Attorney General's office, received 1 interim suspension order and 2 PC-23 orders, and closed 28 cases after referral to the AG's office. That concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions from the board? I had a question. I'm not sure if the EO can answer, or maybe you, Carol. Last year, we had a presentation by DOI, and they were going to make some changes. And I wasn't sure if those changes were substantive to the cost for us, if it affected us, or if it was more about the time. I know they were going to split something about their staffing. I just wanted to hear.
During that presentation, they had talked about the established special investigators unit. Administrative law enforcement, primarily staff with sworn police officers. Special investigators are considered more desk analysts than sworn officer powers that they have. So some of our cases are going through that special investigators unit. Until such time as we get back past sworn. So there is some cost savings that can be achieved there. Cost wise, like everyone, their costs have gone up. The DMI calculation for our budget is going forward, where essentially we take the last 2 years and establish what this year's budget is. So this year, we've overexpended what is normal based on the last 2 years. It's a good way to do the accounting for investigations because you can never predict in cases you receive how complex an investigation will be. And the meant to kind of reduce the idea of peaks and valleys in your information. So deficits, it will rise a little bit over time. This year, the last 2 years have kind of demonstrated the cost of experience in this year. That's why you see a little bit of that. That will also be reflected as part of the 2-year data. Forward. DMI is then collaborating with us and providing specific training. They have also changed what they call their matrix for cases to be investigated by DMI. A year and a half. So we're still kind of working with that. Some of the boards and consumer affairs are moving to a model where they employ a special investigator. And so some of the cases, if we were a different board, we had a special investigator nearby would maybe say this case is better investigated by your in-house. Until such time as we have our.
So their change to include special investigator, the other level, has not impacted us in how long it takes for our cases or costs, right? I just wanted to clarify.
To that.
Okay.
So DMI in general has suffered from vacancy issues and case reassignments as a result of vacancy issues. And so we have had timeline issues with that with our investigations.
Okay. All right.
But I would say that the majority of their clients have that experience.
Okay.
Question on the increased cost, is that mainly attributable to a rate increase in terms of the investigations or cases, or is more time spent dealing with the cases?
It is still a combination of both, but in kind of plain math terms, the more staff D of I employ, the larger their budget is, and that budget then needs to be divisible amongst the DCA clients. And that's part of that 2-year roll forward. So it's not to say that D of I does not have higher than normal invoiceable costs through things like overtime or even equipment expenditures. Their hourly rate is higher, but they've also had this kind of variance in vacancies and filling vacancies. And so as they staff more of those vacant positions, those costs then change that billable rate, that invoiceable billable rate to us, because their overall budget is now increased.
Okay, so are those going to be the justifications in terms of how we request for the budget adjustments from Department of Finance?
So there, and I think what you're referencing to is in enforcement costs and the augmentation, having that line item altered. In that augmentation argument, the things that we would be focusing on are the Office of Administrative Hearing costs and the district or the Department of the Attorney General costs. The D of I, because it's roll forward already, they're using that trend data to establish in Galley, or the creation of the governor's budget, what our D of I budget will be next year.
Okay.
So that the math kind of does itself for the D of I portion of it. And then to your point, incorporated in that math are any increases that they've experienced with an increase in staffing or an increase in salary compensation for their investigators.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board? All right, any public comment on this agenda item? Any public comment online?
WebEx is open for public comment. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take a second now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Carol. All right, we're moving on to item number 21, probation monitoring services update. Monty?
Hello again, board members. Monty Martin again, probation monitor for the board. Today I'm reporting on Q3 of fiscal year 2024-2025. During the third quarter of 2024-2025, the number of licensees on probation decreased from 66 to 61 licensees. Besides the 46 licensees on probation and actively working in the state of California, there were an additional 6 out-of-state probationers tolling or not receiving credit toward completion of probation because they are out of state. 10 in-state probationers who were tolling either due to unemployment or underemployment. There were 2 licensees that were placed on probation in the quarter and 6 licensees that successfully completed probation in the quarter. 0 licensees were revoked, and there was 1 licensee who stipulated to surrender their license to the board. Of the 46 licensees that are in state and not tolling, 9 of them are enrolled and participating in the board substance abuse rehabilitation program, equaling about 20% of all licensees on probation that weren't tolling. 0 licensees enrolled in the board substance abuse rehab program, and 1 licensee successfully completed that program. There were 5 instances of non-compliance with probation in the quarter. Most of these were minor violations for missing interviews or submitting paperwork late. And then after years of working with our vendor Maximus to kind of operate our substance abuse rehabilitation program, that relationship has come to an end. With that end of that contract, we now have a new contractor running that program for us named Premier as of January 1. The transition was a little bit rocky at first as they kind of tried to figure out how much staffing they needed and trying to keep that program going as unaffected as possible for the licensees that are in that program. Delays and changes can be very disruptive to them. So we tried to do our best to make sure that they didn't experience any difficulties that we could take care of. So Premier did their best to keep the program running as they transitioned on. We've heard from most of the participants that the transition went well, and so far their experiences with Premier have gone smoothly, and they are enjoying working with the new contractor. That's it. And then there was one petition that we received for early termination of probation in the quarter as well. And I forgot to mention that when we do receive those petitions, I'm the one that writes the report for that and investigates those folks that are petitioning and the PTs that have written letters of recommendation for those folks. So I interview them, put that in the report, and then you guys receive that as part of the petition. Yeah, any questions?
Great, thank you. No, I think you answered my question. Last quarter, I asked you, how's it going with the new company? And it's all the kinks are worked out.
Yes, everything's
Smoothed out.
running smoothly now. Everybody's happy. It seems to be a good thing.
And they're more responsive. I know last quarter
Yes.
there were some kinks with the communication and the schedule, and people were freaking out because they thought they missed their
Yeah,
timing.
that's all been worked out. Everything is running smoothly now.
Okay. Any other questions? Comments from the board? No? I just wanted to say, I don't know if I want you to have less probationers because that means we're doing really well as a state, or if I'm thankful that probation is an option for people because that gives them a chance to continue to work in the profession that they trained for. But I'm just glad that you're doing the work you're doing and people are responding well.
Well, thank you. It's an interesting position to be in because they are going through discipline, but at the same time, we're trying to educate those folks so they can be law-abiding licensees that we don't have to worry about coming back. We want to have peace of mind that they're doing what they need to be doing out there. So that's kind of the approach I take with it.
You got the right attitude. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Is there any public comment? Not hearing any public comment online.
We are open for public comment on agenda item 21. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a moment now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Monty. All right, we're on item number 22, public comment for items not on the agenda. Please identify yourself.
Alicia Urbina Amen, licensee. I did not hear, and I'm sorry if I missed it, chance for public comment on the agenda item for applications and licensing continuing competency. I know there was public comment for the vote, but I had a couple of comments if that's allowed. So maybe Valerie, if you can come up. Yeah, just looking for information. So the hat I'm putting on right now is Director of Clinical Education at the DPT program that I work for. And when there is a complete application and someone is waiting for PTLA and or their license, is there a system in place with technology to like automatically approve that license? Like, will a system recognize, okay, test score came in, bam?
The system doesn't, the analyst would have to set it, but the licensing as well as the PTLA process is automatic once it is indicated that that's necessary. So either PTLA and missing an exam score say that they'll get the PTLA based upon the analyst triggering it.
Okay.
Okay. For licensing, very similarly, and it really works well with the new graduate applications for both PT and PTA because the analyst can go in and set all of those that are just waiting for an exam score, say for the NPTE, and set those applications for automatic licensure, and it will send the license out within 24 hours of the exam score downloading to the application.
I think that's what I wanted to know a little bit more about. So as the DCE, often I'll get a handful of applicants who needed to work yesterday to start providing for their family or what have you. And I do realize that's the applicant's point of view, but I mean, the benefit for the consumers, we get another practicing clinician out into the field. You know, and sometimes I don't know what to tell them, and I'm hoping that there's some sort of system in place where the analyst can see all of these applicants have everything in place. We're just waiting for the score, and day by day, the score comes through and they can just issue the license. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. The automatic licensing situation is set prior to the score coming through. The fact that the applicant is registered for the exam is what the analyst goes by.
I see.
And then they set the application up to automatically license once that score downloads. Keep in mind that we don't get those scores like the minute that they take the exam. It takes a little bit of time for it to come in. And it comes in waves now, Paul, is that correct?
Mic yourself.
And then just a point of clarity, for record's sake, we're revisiting agenda item number 19.
Yes.
Just for conversational purposes.
So FSBT releases the scores. They have a date that's on their website. That is the first date that we receive them. But I have observed that those scores continue to upload as FSBT releases them. It could be 3 days. So they don't all come out at the same time. But yeah, we do try to anticipate that the applicant will be passing the exam and to set it up so that they do basically auto license. And then within 24 to 48 hours, they receive that automated letter from the Breeze application system that they've been licensed. The only thing I can think of as doing those kind of applications is that the applicant has maybe a deficiency that we're waiting for and that they haven't replied back to. I've been noticing in answering emails that I'll receive an email from, let's say, Mary Smith at Google or at gmail.com, but her email that it's in her application is USC@edu. So we're not even communicating. So they're not receiving those kinds of things. That is my most common situation where an applicant is expecting their license to be done quickly or, when it comes out, and that's why it doesn't, because we don't have that communication. That's why in my presentations, I say, please use the email that you will be checking during your application process so that we can get a hold of you positively. But yeah, we do try to, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I'm passing on the correct messaging to
Of course.
The student, yeah.
the applicants. And so when they contact me and say, how long will it be? I've had my test score. I realize they get their test score most of the times first.
Yeah.
School gets it later, you get
With
it
that
later.
new app, yeah.
They can see whether they passed, failed immediately the next day after the exam.
Yeah.
FSBPT, if you look on fsbpt.org, it will give you the date that they send the scores to the jurisdictions. And then that it is the first possible date that we could license, or that automatic trigger would automatically issue the license and send them an email within 24 hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like Paul said, we've got an API, which is an interface with FSBPT that now it used to only function on the weekends and it functions 24/7. So as FSBPT sends those scores in, it will download and it will trigger that, but they do come in waves.
Yes, I want to give them the right information, but so far I've been telling them, once you receive your score, give it a couple of weeks.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because our website does state that after the last two phishing is fulfilled, we have 45 days to license.
Right. I realize that. I'm just wondering if everything is complete.
Well, there's a couple things that I'll add to it, and I want the two of you to correct me in case I talk out of turn. If there's a deficiency on the application, the applicant's able to view that in their Breeze account. So those
Detail notes, yeah.
right, detail notes, they'd be able to see if there's still a missing part of that application, and they would have received a push email notification to their email address on record with us, assuming that the email address is correct in the first place, or it's an email box that they regularly visit and maintain.
Positive contact.
For the score, though, for FSBPT, and this is kind of that, an advent in technology has led to another point of confusion, right? Most of the students are signing up and monitoring their FSBPT portal from an app on their phone that is essentially just the dashboard that FSBPT's created. When they do that, though, as soon as they take the exam, they get this really, big, beautiful button that says, "Congratulations, you passed." And FSBPT will tell you that they'll reserve those test scores for up to 14 days before they distribute them to jurisdictions, because they're actually going to do a forensic analysis of the data to make sure that there's no anomalies that kind of lead to or point to any subversion of the exam, that there's not, one particular graduating class that had got all the questions wrong the same way and all the questions right the same way, those kind of things. Or if they had seen anything else through like Google crawlers about classes that were collaborating and doing capture recall and question sharing and something like that. So, and while FSBPT does reserve that 14 days, they're also doing their best to try and get it out to the jurisdictions even sooner than that. And that's where you start to see them kind of being released in waves. Some of that's just dependent on that particular exam sitting, right? And how many people went through, did they have issues with the Prometric testing centers that might heighten the awareness or the sensitivity to that forensic analysis. So the big part for us in that miscommunication and combating with applicants is that, no, you don't need anything more than, here, I'm going to send you this screen grab that shows you I passed, but we need the test score for record's sake.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you so much. And I do recognize that the processing times have really improved. So
Yes.
yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Second question is regarding continuing competency. I'm not sure if this would fall under your report, or it actually talks about maybe the reg a little bit, and that is, as a licensee now, I would like to recommend that the board have a licensee or a group of licensees, like as a task force, or maybe some contributors to that regulation package. I know that, we've got the board meetings and all, but as staff is creating the reg language, I think it might be helpful to have a licensee on that task force.
Yeah, noted. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's it for agenda item 19. And then for agenda items not on the agenda, I don't know.
Yes.
Council, I don't know if you need to take any other comment or discussion.
We need to see if there's more public comment.
Yeah.
For the revisiting of.
Or public comment online.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can we check the online for public comment, please?
We are open for public comment on items not on the agenda. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users, dial *3 to raise your hand. And our first request is coming from Drew Fisk. Hold on just a moment, please. We're sending you a request to unmute your microphone.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Perfect. Hello, my name is Drew Fisk, and I'm speaking on behalf of the California Acupuncture Coalition. As a closing comment, I just want to raise our continued concern about the misleading distinction being made between dry needling and acupuncture. The evidence, scientific, historical, and regulatory, is clear. Dry needling is acupuncture. It uses the same needles, it targets the same points, and it affects the same physical systems. allowing providers to bypass California's rigorous acupuncture training and licensure requirements by calling it something else just doesn't create just confusion. It puts patients at serious risk. Acupuncture is a regulated medical procedure in the state. Any effort to sidestep those protections, whether intentional or not, threatens both safety and accountability. We urge the board to continue treating this as a public health and regulatory issue. Thank you all for your time and for your ongoing commitment to patient safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there
And that
another-
was our
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
that was our only online request.
All right, thank you. I can open again for further public comment in this room. She had something else she wanted to go.
Well, no, we didn't move on
Item's
to
not on the
agenda
agenda.
item
Oh, okay.
for 20.
All right. 23. All right, so moving on to agenda item number 23, agenda items for future meeting. Okay. Yeah.
Up to board. We need to do board.
Yeah, yes. Board discussion, any September or a future time? No, I think quite busy with our sunset process and our two committees, but looking forward to a very busy week in Southern California.
Yes, we'll have the expert consultant training on Monday, normal board business Tuesday and Wednesday. All of our standing agenda items, a large component designated for sunset review. And then also a normal training component, and I'll have to check with staff what the rotating training component is for that meeting.
All right. Is there any public comment on item number 23?
Hi, Alicia Rubina Amon, licensee. I'm wondering if the board would consider at some point in the future preparing a presentation regarding workforce data in California. Specifically, my interest would be where we are lacking services for our consumers in the state. And once we assess that, possibly following up with some possible solutions to address it. So that's my first one. And my second one is another ask of consideration for revisiting at some point soon the requirement for a clinical instructor for a foreign educated physical therapist who is having a supervised clinical practice to not have the burden and barrier of finding a clinical instructor who is APTA CCIP level 1 certified, since that's not a requirement for US graduates to have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any other public comment for agenda item 23? Okay, what about online?
WebEx is open for future meeting dates. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a moment now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue?
Yes, thank you. We are at the end of our agenda for this business meeting, board meeting. I want to thank everyone for participating and for following our open meeting and for the extra assistance we had for teleconferencing this year. I mean, this meeting, really appreciate it, and including the moderators online. We hope that this continues to be a very valuable experience for all of those stakeholders who cannot make it for multiple reasons, but still would like to participate in this opportunity and this experience. I look forward to seeing all of you and working towards our September meeting in Southern California. And it is 10:24 and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Just briefly, we do not have closed session, so
Thank you.
the meeting is now officially adjourned.
Thank you.